in the pack. Baltimore's fire chief resigns. Fox 45 News takes a deeper look at the scathing report prompting his exit. And this week, a group of Anne Arundel County students will not have to walk miles in the cold to school. They now have a bus, but it is not from the school system. Why one mother tells Project Baltimore she believes the system does not care about her neighborhood.
And we're off to a much colder start this morning. I'll let you know exactly what that means for game day today in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. Look at that. I think the sunrise is coming up. We've got a beautiful live look of Charleston this morning. Thanks for joining us here on this December 4th on Sunday here. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right on over to your forecast. Gorgeous skies, Amy.
Yeah, looking beautiful out there this morning. Not feeling so hot. If anything, feeling the opposite of that. Temperatures are way down. We're down about 15 to 20 degrees from this time yesterday. And if I throw the numbers on the screen, you can see where we're at. We're starting off awfully close to freezing. Lots of low and mid 30s to get your Sunday morning started. That means if you are just stepping out for the first time to maybe get the dog out, bundle up. Maybe you're packing up to head down to the Ravens game this afternoon. If you're going to be tailgating, I would certainly break out the layers. Actual temperatures will climb into the low and mid 40s today, but it's going to feel a few degrees colder than that with a slight breeze. So it should actually feel like we're stuck in the upper 30s today, despite all that sunshine. Now, this cool down's not going to last long. For the week ahead, I'm tracking some more changes that involve some more rain chances. I'll let you know exactly what our next weather maker is moving in and what that means for the rest of the week in 10 minutes. Taylor?
We're continuing to follow the Baltimore City Fire Chief's resignation amid a scathing report on the deadly Stricker Street fire that happened back in January. That fire claimed the lives of 3 city firefighters, and now this morning, their families are sharing their story. Maxine Stryker has the report.
The news came as a shock to Baltimore City. The same day, an investigative report was released on the deadly Stricker Street fire. Baltimore City Fire Chief Niles Ford resigns. The report paints a chaotic picture of the response to the vacant row home fire that killed Lieutenant Kelsey Sadler, Lieutenant Paul Buttram, Kenny Lacayo, and injured John McMaster.
I received a phone call from somebody on the scene that said that there had been a collapse and I needed to start heading downtown.
Their families speaking only with us in October, still trying to wrap their heads around what happened.
I went to the scene and I waited there until they pulled her out.
I spent all day down there waiting for them to pull him out.
The report highlights one failure after another within the Baltimore City Fire Department. It describes confusion over which firefighters were on scene that day and who was trapped inside the collapsed, burning structure. Firefighters also expressed concern about a competitive culture within the department, where they were often in a race to arrive first on the scene. But perhaps one of the most glaring problems on that January day, the firefighters had no idea they were walking into an unsafe vacant home that had been on fire twice before. The report says their systems never alerted them, and there was no visible indicator from the outside. The report recommends the department implement a standard operating procedure for responding to vacant home fires and begin marking hazardous vacant homes to warn firefighters of their danger. Last month, the city did begin doing so. It was a reboot of a 2010 program called Code X-Ray, which we've been investigating for months. The program, which marked unsafe blighted properties for first responders, didn't last long after funding ran dry and neighbors complained the signs were an eyesore. Since then, it's been recommended the city mark vacants, but they went nearly a decade and waited until the tragic deaths in January to do so.
But in this case, it wasn't a fire that they stepped into. It was a trap that was already set from the past.
Miller Stern lawyers have been conducting their own investigation and working with the families of the injured and fallen firefighters since the fire occurred. They issued a statement to Fox 45 on their behalf regarding the findings of the report. In part, they say this was a vacant property that all firefighters should have been aware of, as it presented a risk to their safety. 205 South Stricker should have been demolished years ago after the first fire there, but the city of Baltimore and our elected officials chose to allocate the city's resources elsewhere. Our firefighters deserve more from us, and no family should have to go through what these families are going through today. Rich Langford, president of the fire union, says whoever will lead the fire department next has a lot of work ahead of them.
Establishing morale in this department, stability, that is what this department's been lacking for many, many years now, is the stability. We have people coming and going left and right. We need to put an end to that. We need people to come here, stay for a career.
Now, you can read their full statement right now on FOX45.com. We're following a pair of shootings that happened on Saturday in Baltimore, the latest along West Caton Avenue just before noon. You can see there was a heavy police presence there as officers say a man was shot. He only suffered minor injuries, though, but hours earlier, a 29-year-old man was shot in the leg along North Charles Street. He was taken to the hospital. Anyone with information on either shooting is asked to call police. Officers are also investigating a deadly hit and run. Cops say a driver hit and killed a 42-year-old woman after she lost control of her car. This happened Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock along Garrison Boulevard in Northwest Baltimore. If you have information about this hit and run, give Baltimore police a call. Turning now to the crisis in the classroom, where police have now recovered 8 guns from school campuses just halfway through the school year. Now, the most recent discovery was made at Carter Vocational School, where police found a gun loaded with a 30-round magazine. That's more ammunition than police are even issued. Now, by law, city officials are not permitted to have their firearms inside schools during the school day. Their weapons must be kept in a safe lockbox. But some city council members are joining calls to change that.
We are now handicapping our school police.
The message is simple to our parents. We're doing the best we can with what we have.
It's a matter of time before one of these students brings a gun to school with ill intent.
5 News reached out to each member of the General Assembly to address the issues at the state level. So far, no response from 20 lawmakers. We do have an interactive map for you of where all 8 guns have been located in Baltimore City Public Schools. You can find this in our web story on our website, foxbaltimore.com. You can also check out all of our past reporting on the violence within city schools and the Monsi Violence Intervention Program. Developing now, the Memorandum of Understanding, which is an agreement between Baltimore City Police and the newly formed Johns Hopkins University Police Force, has been signed. While there's still no start date at this time, recruitment and training is expected to start sometime in the spring or the fall, with fall 2023 deployment planned. Now, the agreement will last 7 years and includes a mandate that all officers must wear body cameras. Also, city police will take over most of those criminal investigations. The formation of an independent university police department led to some disruptive protests during those public meeting process. It's moving forward, though, after it was delayed in 2020. This because of the fallout from George Floyd protest. You can see more about what is in that agreement on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Go ahead and download your Fox 45 News app. You got up-to-the-minute traffic, school conditions, school closings, breaking news, and anytime weather. Just search WBFF in your app store, and it will come up. Georgia's runoff election is happening this Tuesday. We're previewing the race, plus the influential political figure who has not been to Georgia to show their support.
And we're now 17 days away from the start of the winter solstice. Feels like winter today, though. I'll explain the reason why in a couple of minutes. It's 7:08. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
The early voting period in Georgia is now in the rearview mirror ahead of a key Senate runoff election that's happening on Tuesday. Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock is trying to hold off Republican Herschel Walker. This is a critical seat for the president's agenda for the next 2 years, but he has no plans to campaign for Warnock. Georgia Democrats say they want him to come down.
Why do you think Senator Warnock hasn't invited him here yet?
I don't even know. It's a good question.
But he should.
Yes, he should.
He says he's willing to come if the senator wants him to. Let's do it! Let's do it! Let's get him! Let's go! Yes!
As for Walker, he's relying on an endorsement from former President Donald Trump. However, former President Trump doesn't plan on coming to Georgia ahead of the election. So far, more than 1 million Georgians have voted early. Cryptocurrency regulation is turning into a highly debated topic on Capitol Hill. The latest push from lawmakers trying to impose stricter regulations.
If they want to go to school, there's no way if they didn't want to school, they wouldn't. That's another reason why I did this.
Anne Arundel County dealing with a bus driver shortage, leaving some kids with no other option than to embark on a dangerous trek to walk to school. Hear from the woman taking action. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the firm.
Students in one Anne Arundel County community finally have a bus to take them to and from school. It comes less than a week after Fox 45 exposed how middle school students were traveling more than 4 miles to go to their own classrooms. But as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, the bus is not coming from Anne Arundel County schools.
Unique Wiggins.
I don't got face mask on, but can I hug you, please? Because I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Can't say it enough. This mom is thankful.
So I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. And I just know that, like, your blessings are going to come. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. On Monday, for the first time this school year, Wiggins' son, Zion, finally got a reliable ride to school. But it's not from Anne Arundel County schools. It's being provided by Tanya Briggs.
When I saw them babies walking, I was like, oh my God, I was like, they're really walking like where there's no sidewalk.
Briggs, who owns a small transportation company, was watching last week as Project Baltimore interviewed Wiggins about her son and other students who live in Mead Village. Since the start of this school year, these middle school students have not had a consistent school bus, forcing them to travel nearly 4.5 miles to MacArthur Middle School on their own. A trip that includes walking nearly 1.5 miles along this highway with no sidewalks.
And for these kids to walk, they showing that they want to learn. They want to go to school. There's no way if they didn't want to school, they wouldn't learn. That's another reason why I did this.
After seeing the story, Briggs looked Wiggins up online and contacted her. That was on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Over the holiday, Briggs was in contact with other families and offered to bus the students from Mead Village to school and back every day for free.
For these baby safeties, it has no cost. If I can do this every single day to assure their safety, I'm okay with it. And to make sure that these babies get to school.
On Monday, Briggs transported 8 students, including Zion, to and from school. She expects more as word spreads, and she says she'll continue to transport the students until a county bus is available. Briggs was able to do in a few days what Anne Arundel County Schools has not been able to do in 3 months: provide regular bus service to this low-income community.
It doesn't matter where you live. You're still a county student. You know, so rightfully they deserve to be treated the same way.
It's sad and ridiculous.
Wiggins and Briggs feel that way because even though many students here in public housing don't have bus service, other nearby students do. As Project Baltimore was doing this interview, we saw several school buses dropping off students.
Yeah.
But that's the bus for the magnet kids. Only the kids at the end of the block can ride that bus.
Dr. Tobin. Aye. Motion passes 8-0.
On November 16th, 5 days after Project Baltimore first wrote Anne Arundel County Schools concerning these students, the school board passed an emergency contract to hire vans to transport about 2,600 special needs students to and from school, which will free up buses for communities like Mead Village. 2 weeks later, Wiggins still has not heard anything from the county about when her son will get a bus. In July, Anne Arundel County Schools did get a new superintendent, Dr. Mark Bedell. In a post on the school's website, he promised to make himself available to the media to establish an open, honest, transparent, and accurate framework. Yet Dr. Bedell will not interview with Project Baltimore. His office sent us a statement saying, Dr. Bedell does not have a comment for your story.
You think if the school system cared, they would have fixed this problem?
Absolutely, a long time ago. A long time ago.
That is what Wiggins told Project Baltimore when we first spoke. Now, after seeing how quickly Briggs was able to provide transportation for these students, this mom is even more certain.
They absolutely don't care. And until they show me that they do care, that's going to be my absolute response. I've been emailing Anne Arundel County since the beginning of September, and I've got no results. And that's absolutely unacceptable.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
All right, let's get on over to meteorologist Amy Aronson. It's game day today, but it might be a good idea to watch inside, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be sunny, so that's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news, it's going to feel a little chilly. Actually going to feel like December football. We're starting off with a pretty start to the day, though. Looking downtown, we can see that sun is making its first appearance. It is back. The rain's now long gone. Skies are actually crystal clear this morning, but with the clear skies comes the cold. So we are starting off in the mid-30s. We struggle to get out of the 40s today despite all that sunshine. We'll stay dry as we kick off a brand new work week, but it looks like the rain is back as early as Tuesday. And actually a pretty unsettled week will follow. High pressure builds in briefly today. That's going to keep us dry. We are starting the day off with sunshine, and we should stay that way. As you notice, high pressure is going to pass right on by to our south. So not much happening for us today. Temperatures will be slow to warm. 30s to begin, low to mid 40s to end this afternoon, and that's exactly where we'll end that Ravens game. As we look ahead at Monday, we stay dry for one more day. It's cold to start tomorrow morning. That means as you head out for work or for school, you're going to want to have that winter jacket with you. Upper 20s and low 30s to start. Monday afternoon, just a little better. Temperatures will nudge their way back into the upper 40s and low 50s by day's end, and then here comes the clouds, and here comes our next weather maker. This is scheduled to arrive on Tuesday. Looks like Tuesday morning, by the tail end of your morning drive, we'll be tracking some showers pushing in. And once the showers move in, they're going to continue to stream in for the remainder of the week. That means enjoy the dry weather we have today. If you're headed out to the Ravens game, you're going to want to layer up. We have lots of sunshine, and it's not going to be too windy out there today. Just a slight breeze, making it feel a few degrees colder than the temperatures you're seeing right here. So we'll start the game off in the mid-40s. We only get up to the upper 40s, not really reaching 50 this afternoon. Rain chances stay down today and tomorrow, but they do increase quite a bit on Tuesday. I think that's our highest chance for rain in the week ahead. Wednesday and Thursday, we can't rule out some lingering showers both days, and actually lingering showers are expected all the way through week's end. But it is going to be dry and sunny for the next 2 days, so maybe you want to get your holiday lights up or do anything outside. I do it earlier this week over later, because here's a look at what we're expecting for the rest of the week. We've got some scattered showers moving through. Now, it will be a little milder this week with highs close to 60 midweek and then upper 50s on Thursday. But you'll notice as the week continues and as our rain chances decrease, so do our temperatures. So by the start of the following weekend, as of now, it looks like it will be dry, but it will be cooler too, with highs backing off into the low 50s. Taylor?
All righty, making headlines this morning, Congress still needs to pass legislation imposing stricter rules on cryptocurrency exchanges. That is according to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission chair, who met with FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried multiple times before the exchange collapsed amid allegations of fraud.
I strongly believe that we need to move quickly on a thoughtful regulatory approach to establish guardrails in these fast-growing markets of evolving risk, or they will remain an unsafe venture for customers and could present a growing risk to the broader financial system.
Cryptocurrency advocates prefer the CFTC, believing it's less rigorous than the Securities and Exchange Commission. Some analysts believe Bankman-Fried sought a heavy hand in the rule crafting to help make sure his bankrupt firm could monopolize the industry. The director of the FBI is also raising some national security concerns about TikTok. The video sharing app is owned by a Beijing-based ByteDance company. FBI Director Chris Wray warns China could use TikTok for influence operations by manipulating the app's recommended algorithm. He also notes the Chinese government could collect data from millions of its users. TikTok tells the Associated Press it's confident it's on a path to satisfy all reasonable U.S. national security concerns. Mixed reactions following Friday's jobs report, why the Biden administration remains optimistic, while critics say rate hikes could be in our future. And it's Christmas time in the city. After the break, the magical winter wonderland you could visit right now at the Inner Harbor. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Winter on the Water is in full swing today at the Inner Harbor. The event, put on by the Waterfront Partnership, features more than 30 local artists. Vendors are offering everything from vintage clothing to old art and original and delicious food. And what's a festival without some ice skating? Plenty of fun there all around.
So we are celebrating local talent as part of the Baltimore by Baltimore series, sort of an extension of that summer festival. And we're filling the harbor with love and pride and Baltimoreans making good stuff.
Visitors are encouraged to check out the Christmas Village anytime now through December 24th. There will be several more events throughout December and January, including fireworks for New Year's Eve, and then a full calendar. You can catch that available at thewatershippartnership.org. And whether it's going to a holiday event, putting up your own decorations, baking some Christmas cookies, we want to see how you're celebrating the holidays this year. Go ahead and send us your pictures and videos. You can do that on our website, foxbaltimore.com/chime-in, or use your Fox 45 mobile app. Just click the Explore tab and then chime in. All right, it is a cold day ahead, but it's pretty this morning. Make sure you bundle up if you head out, though. Meteorologist Amy Aronson tracking some of the temperature changes ahead in our week. She's got her full weather authority forecast after the break. And yet another gun found in Baltimore City schools. Fox 45 News is pushing state leaders on what's being done to keep their kids safe. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you, and this is the live look now in downtown, right over M&T Bank Stadium, where the Ravens are playing today. Thanks for being here this Sunday. It's December 4th. I'm Taylor Stewart. We want to get right on over to your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson with some purple behind her, so it's going to be a chilly one, I'm guessing.
Going to be a chilly one. I didn't see any folks out there just yet. Maybe people are going to hold off on tailgating because of what they're up against. Much colder today. Yesterday actually ended up being mild despite the rain, but today's a different story. Feels like winter again. We're back in the mid and upper 30s right now. We're actually near freezing in spots like Westminster. So whether you're headed out to the game or just running some Sunday holiday errands, you're going to want to bundle up. We are starting off cold this morning. We only end up in the mid and upper 40s today, despite all that sunshine that will actually carry us through the afternoon. But today's one of the colder days out of the next 7. That means coming up in 10 minutes, I'll show you where these temperatures are trending for the week ahead and when we are tracking our next weather maker and our next chance for some rain. Taylor?
We're continuing to follow the Baltimore City Fire Chief's resignation. This comes after a scathing report on the deadly Stricker Street fire that happened in January. That fire claimed the lives of 3 firefighters, and this morning their families are sharing their story. Maxine Stryker reports.
The news came as a shock to Baltimore City. The same day, an investigative report was released on the deadly Stricker Street fire. Baltimore City Fire Chief Niles Ford resigns. The report paints a chaotic picture of the response to the vacant row home fire that killed Lieutenant Kelsey Sadler, Lieutenant Paul Buttram, Kenny Lacayo, and injured John McMaster.
I received a phone call from somebody on the scene that said that there had been a collapse and I needed to start heading downtown.
Their families speaking only with us in October, still trying to wrap their heads around what happened.
I went to the scene and I waited there until they pulled her out.
I spent all day down there waiting for them to pull him out.
The report highlights one failure after another within the Baltimore City Fire Department. It describes confusion over which firefighters were on scene that day and who was trapped inside the collapsed, burning structure. Firefighters also expressed concern about a competitive culture within the department, where they were often in a race to arrive first on the scene. But perhaps one of the most glaring problems on that January day, the firefighters had no idea they were walking into an unsafe vacant home that had been on fire twice before. The report says their systems never alerted them, and there was no visible indicator from the outside. The report recommends the department implement a standard operating procedure for responding to vacant home fires and begin marking hazardous vacant homes to warn firefighters of their danger. Last month, the city did begin doing so. It was a reboot of a 2010 program called Code X-Ray, which we've been investigating for months. The program, which marked unsafe blighted properties for first responders, didn't last long after funding ran dry and neighbors complained the signs were an eyesore. Since then, it's been recommended the city mark vacants, but they went nearly a decade and waited until the tragic deaths in January to do so.
But in this case, it wasn't a fire that they stepped into. It was a trap that was already set from the past.
Miller Stern lawyers have been conducting their own investigation and working with the families of the injured and fallen firefighters since the fire occurred. They issued a statement to FOX45 on their behalf regarding the findings of the report. In part, they say this was a vacant property that all firefighters should have been aware of, as it presented a risk to their safety. 205 South Stricker should have been demolished years ago after the first fire there, but the city of Baltimore and our elected officials chose to allocate the city's resources elsewhere. Our firefighters deserve more from us, and no family should have to go through what these families are going through today. Rich Langford, president of the fire union, says whoever will lead the fire department next has a lot of work ahead of them.
Establishing morale in this department, stability, that is what this department's been lacking for many, many years now, is the stability. We have people coming and going left and right. We need to put an end to that. We need people to come here, stay for a career.
You can read that entire statement right now on our website, foxbaltimore.com. We're following a pair of shootings that happened on Saturday, the latest one along West Canton Avenue just before noon yesterday. You can see that heavy police presence as officers say a man was shot. He only suffered minor injuries, but just hours earlier, a 29-year-old man was shot in the leg along North Charles Street. He was hospitalized. Anyone with information on either shooting is asked to give police a call. Baltimore police are also investigating a deadly hit and run. Cops say a driver hit and killed a 42-year-old woman after she lost control of her vehicle. This happened Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock along Garrison Boulevard in Northwest Baltimore. If you have any information about this, give Metro Crime Stoppers a call.
A red-hot jobs report making economists nervous. I'm Atrell Nashar with why in this moment of high inflation, good news is bad news.
And we'll spend today in the colder upper 40s, but after that, temperatures are warming back up. Actually, the 60s make a brief appearance this week, but that warming trend also comes with increasing rain chances. I'll let you know when we have our highest chance for rain in the week ahead in a couple of minutes. It's 7:37. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Friday's jobs report shows the labor market is picking up steam. More than 260,000 jobs were created last month. That puts the Federal Reserve in an even tighter spot as rate increases are meant to slow the market to stave off runaway inflation. But President Biden remains optimistic.
We continue to create jobs, lots of jobs. And today we've learned that the economy added 263,000 jobs in November. Now, we've now created 10.5 million jobs since I took office, more than any administration in history at this point in the presidency.
Outgoing House Speaker Pelosi chimed in as well on Twitter, saying the report is evidence that our, quote, expectation-shattering recovery continues. Now, in any other economy, these would be welcome numbers, but instead, it makes the Federal Reserve fight against inflation much more complicated. National correspondent Andra Allen-Shar explains.
Just when it looked like the Federal Reserve was about to ease off its aggressive interest rate hikes, November's jobs report revealed the labor market still needs to be reined in. The data show hiring levels are still strong, especially in leisure and hospitality, healthcare, and government. None of this helps the worker shortage, which is adding to inflation and raising red flags for labor economists.
Any progress that we were hoping we were made seems to be stalled for the moment. It is still very much a very tight labor market, and it seems to be continuing to hold, despite the Fed's best efforts.
An especially troubling piece of the report is the labor force participation rate. It did not improve last month and has shown little change for most of the year. Overall, Jason Furman, a top economist for the Obama administration, summing it up this way: you probably want to revise your views on inflation and its overall dynamic more based on today's jobs report than any other data report this year, and not in a favorable direction. Friday's jobs report is a sobering reality check after Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments on Wednesday when he said he and his colleagues may go from rolling out their massive 75 basis point interest rate hikes to more moderate 50 basis point hikes as soon as this month. It was the signal Wall Street was waiting for, nerves high that too many massive rate hikes will slow the economy into recession.
But I think another problem is it's the best tool the Fed has, right? What else are they going to do?
And it's a blunt tool, one they plan to keep using on their way to a forecasted 4.4% unemployment rate next year. So far, layoffs in tech and media have made headlines, but have not put a dent in the jobless rate. Powell explains why he thinks mass layoffs are avoidable.
In this highly unusual situation in the labor market could come back into balance to some extent through a decline in job openings.
An optimistic outlook of bringing down inflation without thousands of Americans losing their jobs. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Online holiday shopping this holiday season can lead to your information being stolen by hackers. How you can protect yourself and your sensitive information while buying those holiday gifts. And grab a tall glass of milk and a warm chocolate chip cookie because it is time to celebrate the national holiday that, yeah, you know, it's the best for sweet treats. We'll get into that just after the break. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Happening now, fake tech support workers are conning people out of millions of dollars, and now the FBI is issuing a warning. Jackie Orzoko with our Sinclair sister station in Columbus takes a look at how investigators and the Better Business Bureau are working to protect your information.
Don't panic. It's happened to a lot of people. If it weren't a super successful scam, they'd quit it. There's no signs of them quitting it.
The Better Business Bureau of Central Ohio is seeing them too. In fact, they tell us scammers also call people and tell them scary messages.
Someone in your home is watching porn on the computer, but they will be happy to help you take care of that if you give them remote control of the computer, and they will erase all of that.
The holiday shopping season is a prime opportunity for scammers. It can be as simple as opening up a text message and clicking on a link. Cyber experts say spotting small details is key to avoid being a victim.
As far as actually going to websites, look at that URL, the actual website that you're going to. You want to make sure that it says, yahoo.com instead of yah00.com. There's a lot of lookalike domains is what we call them.
The BBB says if you get a tech support pop-up, turn off your computer and avoid installing apps scammers want you to download.
Once you've given remote control of your computer to someone else, please take that computer into your local computer repair or a trusted computer center retail outlet.
If you think you've been a victim of a tech scam, you can contact the FBI or the Better Business Bureau. We've got details and a link on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Trending now, Pantone has revealed its color of the year for 2023, and the winner is Viva Magenta. Pantone says the shade reconnects us to the original matter and invokes forces of nature. It's named the color of the year annually for more than 2 decades now. The company is known for creating the Pantone matching system, which is used to identify and match colors in industries such as printing and graphic design and fashion. There's a new tipping system at Starbucks that has some employees feeling kind of like they're caught in a bind. It's a new tipping method that involves the option to pay your barista serving customers through a credit card or a debit card. Customers are offered those suggestions with amounts or other amounts, or they can not tip at all. But some Starbucks employees say it makes them feel awkward to ask about the intentions of the customer if they haven't offered on their own. One TikTok video from a Starbucks employee drew more than 6.7 million views on this topic because critics say Starbucks should pay their employees more without having them worry about tip options. The West Coast-based airline company is launching a new way to help you speed through airport checks. At Alaska Airlines, it's the first airline to roll out an electric bag tag for luggage, letting some customers tag their bags with only just a tag right there along Alaska Airlines app during the check-in process. The device has an antenna to transfer information from a smartphone to another mobile device. It is activated by touching the phone to tag that bag, which shows the flight info on the tag screen. Travelers say 40% of the time it's letting them go straight to the bag drop area, and the company says they'll be available for purchase for all guests starting next year. Are you kind of motivated and bloodthirsty? Then you might be the person New York City needs, because the Big Apple is notorious for having rodent problems, and they say they need a rat czar. So the job listing is actually out for a director of rodent mitigation. And the city says the perfect candidate would have to be able to collaborate well with the government and parks and housing, sanitation, but mainly they need to be able to kill rats. The job for the city right now, it's $120,000 to $170,000 per year. So before we get to your forecast, I'm curious, Amy, is this a job you would apply for, maybe?
I mean, for that money, maybe.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. We have our own rat problem, obviously, here in Baltimore. I know you're going to do the area. Have you seen any in person yet?
Oh, my, have I? Yeah, I have. They don't bother you.
They make their presence known. Well, you say that, but I had an incident once where I was putting my trash out when I lived in the city, and one must have been in my trash can, and the thing jumped out at me. I've never jumped so far. It was terrifying.
I definitely ran down the other side of the street, but I hear cold weather is not good for rats. Like, it makes it worse.
Hopefully. I don't think anything stops them, especially when they're big. But yeah, we've got some colder temperatures today. It's going to feel like winter. So for the winter solstice, which is actually coming up in 17 days, our average high drops to 46 degrees. By Christmas Day, only a few days after, we're at an average high of 45. And then by the time we bring in the new year and kick off January, our average high bottoms out at 44. Now today, believe it or not, that's where our high temperatures will be. So very winter-like to close out the weekend. At least we're starting off with sunshine today. This view looks much different than it did yesterday. Yesterday, we were starting off with all that rain. That's long gone. Clear skies dominating this morning with chilly temperatures. We're in the mid-30s to get things started. We've also got a light wind coming in from the northwest, and that's making it feel just a few degrees colder. Otherwise, weather map looks nice and empty. Not much happening here. High pressure is actually going to build in and pass by today, helping keep us dry both today and tomorrow before our next weather maker gets here. And future scan shows that. Doesn't really show any changes, just shows us staying bright and sunny before the clouds creep back in late Monday heading into Tuesday. And here comes that next weather maker and that next chance for rain. It starts as a cold front that pushes in on Tuesday, sending us some showers as early as Tuesday morning, lingering through the afternoon. But then it looks like some showers will actually linger through much of next week. But today, no rain at all. So that's good news for everything happening outside. Actually, if you're looking for something festive to do, the 49th Annual Mayor's Parade, Christmas Parade is happening in Hamden. Going to be beautiful for that. Such a fun holiday tradition. Lots of sunshine for that parade. You're going to want to bundle up, though. Temperatures will be hanging out in the low to mid 40s. Now, if you're already sick of the cold, just wait. According to our updated 6 to 10 temperature day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, there's actually a decent chance now that our temperatures will warm slightly above average. And this outlook takes us through mid-December, so up through December 13th. In the short term, we can kind of see that. Looking closely at the week ahead, you'll notice our numbers warm from the 40s to the 50s, actually briefly into the 60s. Despite the increasing rain chances, and the rain chances that stick around will actually stay mild both Thursday and Friday, with highs in the mid and upper 50s both days. As we dry things out on Saturday for next weekend, temperatures will cool back down. So it's going to feel a little more festive again, with highs settling back into the low 50s by next Saturday. Taylor?
All right, today is National Cookie Day, and with the holiday season in full swing, cookies should be an easy find. Whether you buy them or make them yourself, The cookie history can be traced to the 7th century of Persia, not long after the use of sugar became common. From there, the treat spread to Europe, and then cookies could be found all over the region by the 14th century. Cookies made their final arrival here to America, thank God, in the 17th century, and the most popular one at the time was macaroons and gingerbread.
A simple step that could make a big difference right now in preventing COVID-19 as it continues to circulate. I'm Liz Bonus. Has to do with your hands. We explain just ahead.
A health alert for you this morning. The Maryland Department of Health is reporting its first cold-related death of the 2022 winter season. The health department says a woman between 60 and 70 years old died in Baltimore. Officials say to avoid any cold-related deaths, avoid frostbite. Marylanders should wear multiple layers of clothing if possible. You can also dial 211 to find the nearest warming center. A new study shows one simple way to help reduce your odds of getting COVID-19 or another virus. Medical reporter Liz Bonus explains what researchers have discovered about the things we touch.
Hey there, everybody. Scientists from the Food Standards Agency in the UK have confirmed that the COVID-19 virus can stay on some of the groceries we buy and eat for days. To find this out, they purposely took groceries that we normally buy and eat, including fruits and bakery products and bottled drinks, and they chose the items we would eat, likely without cooking or washing them. They then performed a lab experiment where they smeared those items with the coronavirus. Well, they did find our risk of getting the SARS-CoV-2 virus this way is low. They also found the virus can live on some food packages or some of our fruits and vegetables for at least 24 hours, maybe even up to a week. So given that it's virus season,
when you start adding things up, we start to, and you can call it what you want to, triple demic or whatever. It's basically respiratory virus season.
Here is what you need to know, especially about foods you touch or anything else. Hand washing, of course, does reduce risk.
Hand hygiene is probably the most important, making sure you wash your hands. And I think we're all pretty accustomed to that at this point, given what we've experienced the last couple of years.
But so can something else. Believe it or not, it is actually keeping your own hands off your own face. This is harder to do than you think, but researchers concluded that what you touch would have to be transmitted into the body for you to get sick. Your face, eyes, nose, mouth, good delivery routes for that. So keeping the hands away can also help keep the virus away. Something to think about. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus. Now back to you.
When you stand on an ethical high ground, it is very firm soil.
Scott issuing his second veto over striking down City Council's pension plan. We'll speak with the professor of rhetoric on what this says about Scott's leadership. And it's a chilly start to our morning, but the sun hopefully warming things up this afternoon. Meteorologist Amy Aronson tracking your game day temperatures coming up in our full weather authority forecast. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Mayor Brandon Scott issuing his second veto ever to strike down City Council's pension plan. What his reasoning behind the decision says about him as a leader. Baltimore City's fire chief resigns immediately following a scathing report on a deadly fire. What comes next for the department as they move forward?
And we are off to a colder start this morning. I'll let you know exactly what that means for the Ravens game today in a couple of minutes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Thank you for being here. The sun is up, and you can see that live look there in Towson. It is a chilly one, though. Thanks for being here with us this Sunday, December 4th. I'm Taylor Stewart, and we got to get right on over to your forecast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, there's a lot happening today. The mayor's Christmas Day parade, the game. I mean, it's a day you kind of want to make sure it's nice outside, I'd assume.
Yeah, it is the season, right? So much is happening leading up to the holidays now that we're in the month of December. And the weather is cooperating. It's just a little chilly. But it is going to feel festive out there at least. Temperatures are down from yesterday. Yesterday felt much more mild. Today our numbers are down about 15 to 20 degrees, and that puts us actually right around freezing this morning. Lots of low 30s showing up on the map, at least to get things started on this Sunday morning. Now, these numbers will be improving some. Actual temperatures climb into the mid-40s today. Feel like temperatures stuck in the upper 30s because we've got a slight breeze on our hands. But at least we've got sunshine, and that should take us up until kickoff for the Ravens game today. Now, this cool down's not going to last long. Coming up in 10 minutes, I'll let you know exactly where these temperatures are headed for the rest of the week and when we are tracking our next opportunity for some rain. Taylor?
When you stand on an ethical high ground, it is very firm soil. And I think by taking a strong ethical stand, it gives voters a chance to relook at him and his record.
Possible fallout from Baltimore City Council's fast-track pension bill and the veto issued by the mayor. Keith Daniels explains what that veto could mean for council members who've already approved the legislation.
Well, Councilman Ryan Dorsey may have summed it up best with a tweet he made just before the vote at City Hall last week. It says, in part, he and others would be held responsible for their vote, and now what that could mean. In Baltimore City, it seems a pivotal decision by Mayor Brandon Scott is behind him. The mayor deciding to veto the controversial pension bill. Scott on the move last night, telling us about that choice.
Why the decision? Why the veto, Mr. Mayor?
Hey, listen, like I said earlier, and you seen the letter, Keith. I saw you did a very detailed story. Watch yourself. A detailed story yesterday. We have to, when you're elected official, you have to do your oath the way we said. And this is about making sure that we do this the right way. And this, the appearance of impropriety, the understanding that it doesn't impact those who are elected right now. We just need to do these things the right way, and this wasn't the right way.
The mayor also said the bill had potential ethical issues.
I took my vote.
Still, last week, the city council voted to approve the legislation, the fast-track bill that reduces time needed for elected officials to receive lifetime benefits, going from 12 years to 8. A bill sponsored by City Council President Nick Mosby, approved with an 8-5 vote, 2 abstaining.
Citizens of Baltimore have been bamboozled. Glover, I'm here. I heard you vote yes.
Voters in the chamber reacting to council members who voted in favor of the measure. Tonight, what that could mean come next election.
And the people who voted for it, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
John Deedy, a political analyst on what some council members could face, the fallout over their controversial vote.
And I think this pension deal is, the people who voted for it are going to have a very difficult time if they're in a situation of being able to run for re-election to explain why they did it, because it has the taint of doing something to benefit yourself.
Well, Deedy and other political pundits are calling the mayor's decision to veto the vote the right political move. Reporting, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
The next council meeting is on Monday. Now, it's not clear if Council President Nick Mosby will call a vote to try to override the mayor's veto, but so far he does not seem to have the votes to do so. Councilman Eric Costello and Mark Conway, who abstained, tell Fox 45 News they will not support an override. That would leave Mosby at least 2 votes shy of the 10 necessary. That is, if he tries to override this veto. We want to bring in Towson rhetoric professor Richard Batts to talk about the optics and the conversation around this veto from the mayor and ultimately what this says about his leadership. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's get into this. So Cohen just said that he thought this was a right move by the mayor to issue this veto. We had a political analyst earlier, John Deedy, said that the mayor staying on ethical, moral ground. What is your assessment of his decision to veto this measure?
Well, you know, Tara, I've been doing commentary on city rhetoric, city politics for a long, long time. And this is the first time I really felt confident about the city. This veto, firmly made, was one of the best moves the mayor could have made. I think it's impressive. I think it shows that he's no longer going to be dominated by the ethically questionable Mosbys. I think that this shows that he is in charge, and I think this is a transformational moment. In addition, the election of Ivan Bates as state's attorney, who, by the way, I should tell you, spoke in my class a week ago, I think is another excellent move by the people of Baltimore to say enough. We want responsible leadership. I really believe that this is This is a major, major transformation for the city. I don't believe it solves all the problems, but congratulations to the mayor and congratulations to those who support him and the city for getting a great state's attorney. I am more optimistic for the city than I have been in memory.
Professor Vatz, you are striking a very, very different tone that I've heard you in previous weeks. What does this say if there is an attempt for an override? It appears the votes that Council President Nick Mosley would need are not there. But if he does try to move forward with that, I mean, this is a pension bill, something that affects their livelihoods for the rest of their lives. So I imagine that that's a conversation that's ongoing.
Absolutely, completely self-serving. There will not be an override. The politics are changing. Anybody with any kind of intuition can see this. I think it's a major move. Let me add one thing. I think that the coverage in the newspaper, which has always been generally supportive of Baltimore and their crazy politics, ought to change. What they ought to have is, I don't know if any of your, I assume many of your viewers have seen Mike Preston's report card for the Ravens. Just a wonderful, wonderful column he writes every week. I think there ought to be a report card for Baltimore City. They ought to talk about poverty, education, violence, family, and have a report card every month on how the city is doing. And that would focus people on these things. So we've got a great beginning, and let's carry it out, and let's have some good journalism on this. And I really think that this is the beginning, possibly, not certainly, but possibly, maybe even probably, for the city going forward.
So you're saying now that this is in the rearview mirror, you're hoping focus now shifts back to the issues, and you actually sound hopeful that could happen.
I am indeed. I'm more hopeful than I've been in memory. I was wrong. I thought the mayor would veto this. I'm sorry. I thought the mayor would sustain this, and I think that he is. He even sounds, when I've heard him interview, he even gets rid of all the trite garbage. He's always talking about holistic this, holistic that, and he really appears focused. This could be his moment of change, and I hope it is, and I think it may be. And again, I was wrong about him, and I hope that he shows that all of us were wrong about him, and that he will be the good mayor he can be.
Keeping an open mind as we all are at home and evaluating the issues as they come up. Thank you so much, Professor Vatz.
Thank you for having me.
A red-hot jobs report making economists nervous. I'm Autral Nashar with why in this moment of high inflation, good news is bad news.
And we're now 17 days away from the winter solstice on December 21st. It's going to feel wintry today, though. I'll explain the reason why and how long it lasts in a couple of minutes. It's 8:09. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Early voting in Georgia is now in the rearview mirror after more than 1 million Georgians voted early ahead of the key Senate runoff election this Tuesday. Democrat incumbent Raphael Warnock is trying to hold off Republican Herschel Walker. President Biden says this is a critical seat for his agenda for the next 2 years, but it appears he has no plans to campaign for Warnock. Georgia Democrats say they want him to come down there.
Why do you think Senator Warnock hasn't invited him here yet?
I don't even know. It's a good question.
But he should.
Yes, he should.
He says he's willing to come if the senator wants him to.
Let's do it! Let's do it! Let's get him! Let's go! Yes!
As for Walker, he is relying on an endorsement from former President Donald Trump. However, former President Trump does not plan on coming to Georgia ahead of the election either. Mixed reactions coming after Friday's jobs report. Why the Biden administration is still optimistic. Critics say rate hikes could be in our future. A drug trafficking ring leads to a murder plot right here in Baltimore. What you need to know about the suspects that police are still searching for. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Police say they're investigating a murder-for-hire plot led by an international drug trafficking ring operating right here in Baltimore. Here's Alexis Ashwells with this week's Maryland's Most Wanted.
Investigators say this man, who for years trafficked cocaine in and out of Baltimore, tried to hire a drug organization to kill his brother's murderer. But that's not who the U.S. Marshal Service is looking for. Agents now searching for this man's wife, who is also wanted in this murder-for-hire plot. Baltimore, summer 2019. An international drug trafficking ring is being investigated by undercover agents.
They were involved in trafficking narcotics throughout the eastern seaboard.
Investigators detailing the organization was distributing kilogram quantities of cocaine brought into the United States, including Baltimore, from Guatemala. One of the dealers, based here in the city, identified by the U.S. Marshal Service as Rudy Aldonado Chavez. According to investigators, while conducting an undercover operation, agents realized Aldonado Chavez was after more than money and drugs from the Guatemalan drug organization.
Agents set up an undercover buy. During the undercover buy, this individual approached the organization. He attempted to sell them a kilo of cocaine. During the transaction, he also attempted to solicit the organization to murder an individual from Guatemala.
That individual, investigators say, the man who killed Aldonado Chavez's brother. The murder for hire, a plot for revenge. Aldonado Chavez is arrested and is currently serving an 8-year sentence in federal prison for his role in the plot and for distribution of cocaine. The search now turning to his wife.
During the course of the investigation, they revealed that she was intimately involved with the murder for hire conspiracy.
The U.S. Marshal Service identifying the wife as 36-year-old Jessica Orazo Rosa, who has been on the run for more than a year.
A lot of the details for the case are sealed, but ultimately, when the United States Marshal Service gets a warrant, all we care is that we get our individual.
Drug trafficking investigators say a major problem in cities across the country, including here in Baltimore. The U.S. Marshal Service pointing out violence often follows the illegal activity, including plots like murder for hire.
Drug trafficking is a huge problem that we're seeing in Baltimore City and around the country. Where there's drugs, there's often guns, and that's what's creating a lot of this violent crime.
A couple accused in a plot to kill, and the wife still on the run.
Anytime an individual is willing to plot with another individual to kill someone, there's no more compass there.
Take a good look. Orazo Rosa stands at about 4'11", 5'1", again 36 years old. Investigators say she has significant ties to Baltimore City, but may have fled to Guatemala. So if you have any information into her whereabouts, you're asked to contact the U.S. Marshal Service. The tip line number right here, 1-877-WANTED-2. Or you can contact agents directly. The number right here, 202-819-5058. Remember, you can always remain anonymous and you could earn a reward. I'm Alexa Ashwell, and this is Maryland's Most Wanted.
Good Sunday morning. We are off to a much colder start today as we gear up for the Ravens game at 1 o'clock. M&T Bank Stadium already in the distance there. If you are headed out, you're going to want to layer up because we're already in the upper 30s. Only in the upper 30s, I should say, to get your Sunday morning started. A very chilly end to your weekend with highs only in the upper 40s today. We stay dry for one more day to kick off a brand new work week, but then the rain makes a comeback as early as Tuesday. Right now, not much happening on the weather map. We have high pressure to thank for that. That's going to keep us nice and dry for at least 2 days, setting us clear skies today, and then more sunshine will actually follow tomorrow. And Future Scan confirms that. With the sunshine, we do end up in the 40s today, mid-40s this afternoon. Just feels much colder than it did yesterday. We stay dry tonight and temperatures will fall again. That means Monday morning's a cold one as you step out the door for work, for school. Upper 20s, low 30s to begin your morning, so winter jackets will be needed. Monday afternoon, just a little bit better. Temperatures turn a little more seasonable. We make a run for the upper 40s to low 50s by the end of the day. And then here comes our next weather maker. This sends us that next chance for showers by Tuesday morning, and then we turn pretty unsettled for the remainder of the week. But at least today we've got sunshine over M&T Bank Stadium. What we don't have, a lot of warmth. You're going to want to layer up for today's game. Actual temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. You factor in just a slight breeze, and it feels a few degrees colder than the numbers you're seeing here on this planner. You don't have to plan on rain today or tomorrow, but it looks like rain chances will shoot back up on Tuesday as that next weather maker moves in. And then what's going to happen is showers are going to continue to stream into our area beyond that. So although Wednesday, Thursday, not washouts, we do call for some spotty showers both days, and that's going to take us all the way through the end of the week. So the 7-day forecast starts off dry and sunny. Temperatures are actually the coldest today out of the next 7. After today, we're back in the low 50s, and then we stay there. Scattered showers likely on Tuesday. Tuesday looks like our highest chance for rain in the week ahead. After that, showers become more spotty Wednesday and Thursday. We'll also enjoy some milder days with highs in the upper 50s, low 60s. By week's end on Friday, the showers should be wrapping up, and it looks like as of now, next weekend starts off dry with a mix of clouds and sun on Saturday, but it will be a little cooler again with highs returning to the low 50s. Taylor?
All right, Friday's job report shows the labor market is picking up steam with more than 260,000 jobs created last month. That puts the Federal Reserve in an even tighter spot, though, as rate increases are meant to slow down the market to stave off runaway inflation. But still, President Biden says he's optimistic.
We continue to create jobs, lots of jobs. And today, we've learned that the economy added 263,000 jobs in November. And we've now created 10.5 million jobs since I took office, more than any administration in history at this point in the presidency.
Outgoing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi chimed in as well on Twitter, saying the report is evidence that our, quote, expectation-shattering recovery continues. In any other economy, these would be welcome numbers, but instead it makes the Federal Reserve's fight against inflation much more complicated. National correspondent Antra Alanshar explains.
Just when it looked like the Federal Reserve was about to ease off its aggressive interest rate hikes, November's jobs report revealed the labor market still needs to be reined in. The data show hiring levels are still strong, especially in leisure and hospitality, healthcare, and government. None of this helps the worker shortage, which is adding to inflation and raising red flags for labor economists.
Any progress that we were hoping we were made seems to be stalled for the moment. It is still very much a very tight labor market, and it seems to be continuing to hold, despite the Fed's best efforts.
An especially troubling piece of the report is the labor force participation rate. It did not improve last month and has shown little change for most of the year. Overall, Jason Furman, a top economist for the Obama administration, summing it up this way: you probably want to revise your views on inflation and its overall dynamic more based on today's jobs report than any other data report this year, and not in a favorable direction. Friday's jobs report is a sobering reality check after Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments on Wednesday when he said he and his colleagues may go from rolling out their massive 75 basis point interest rate hikes to more moderate 50 basis point hikes as soon as this month. It was the signal Wall Street was waiting for, nerves high that too many massive rate hikes will slow the economy into recession.
But I think another problem is it's the best tool the Fed has, right? What else are they going to do?
And it's a blunt tool, one they plan to keep using on their way to a forecasted 4.4% unemployment rate next year. So far, layoffs in tech and media have made headlines, but have not put a dent in the jobless rate. Powell explains why he thinks mass layoffs are avoidable.
In this highly unusual situation in the labor market could come back into balance to some extent through a decline in job openings.
An optimistic outlook of bringing down inflation without thousands of Americans losing their jobs. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
New York has a problem. I guess we have a problem here too, but they're actually doing something to try to fix it. The new job listing they have for people that are perfect for those who want to hunt the mice. And it's Christmas time in the city. After the break, the magical winter wonderland you can visit right now in the Inner Harbor. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Winter on the Water is in full swing today at the Inner Harbor. The event, put on by the Waterfront Partnership, features more than 30 local artists and creators. They've got everything from vintage clothing, original art, delicious food. And what is a festival without some ice skating? Plenty of fun there to go around.
So we are celebrating local talents as part of the Baltimore by Baltimore series, sort of an extension of that summer festival. And we're filling the harbor with love and pride and Baltimoreans making good stuff.
Visitors are encouraged to check out the Christmas Village now through December 24th and keep an eye out for several more events planned through December and January, including fireworks on New Year's Eve. You can see the full calendar on waterfrontpartnership.org. And today, the Mayor's Christmas Day Parade is happening. It starts at 1 o'clock in Hampden. The 2.5-mile parade will have floats, local TV and radio personalities, over 100 Harley-Davidson motorcycles, great bands, and of course, what is a Christmas Day parade without Santa? Last year, 25,000 people came out to watch the parade, so you'll want to get out there early and, of course, bundle up. Baltimore's fire chief resigns immediately following a scathing report on a deadly fire. What it means for the department as they try to move ahead. And it's a chilly day today, so make sure you've got the jackets before you head outside. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is tracking some of those temperature changes ahead in her full week authority forecast coming up after the break. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. It is Sunday and you're looking live at the harbor. And it looks gorgeous right there, just a little chilly, I guess. Thanks for being here this Sunday, December 4th. I'm Taylor Stewart, but let's get on over to meteorologist Amy Aronson because she knows what we want to know, which is, can we go outside today? Will it be nice enough for the Christmas Day parade, the game? I mean,
yeah,
let us know.
I mean, it's going to be a little chilly, but it is that time of year, right? We are in December now, so it's going to feel kind of festive. You just have to break out all the winter accessories. Mid and upper 30s to get your day started. A little bit of a chill to begin, but at least we've got the sunshine helping us out, and that is here to stay throughout the afternoon. What's not present, the warmth. Temperatures will be down in the mid and upper 40s today. A little bit of a breeze. That makes it feel just a little colder than it is right here on this hour-by-hour planner. But today's actually one of the coldest out of the next 7. After today, temperatures will be warming back up, but rain chances will also be on the rise. I'll explain when we have our highest chance for rain in the week ahead in just about 10 minutes. Taylor?
We're continuing to follow the Baltimore City Fire Chief's resignation after a scathing report on the deadly Stricker Street fire. It happened back in January and claimed the lives of 3 city firefighters. This morning, their families are sharing their stories. Maxine Stryker has that report.
The news came as a shock to Baltimore City. The same day, an investigative report was released on the deadly Stricker Street fire. Baltimore City Fire Chief Niles Ford resigns. The report paints a chaotic picture of the response to the vacant row home fire that killed Lieutenant Kelsey Sadler, Lieutenant Paul Buttram, Kenny Lacayo, and injured John McMaster.
I received a phone call from somebody on the scene that said that there had been a collapse and I needed to start heading downtown.
Their families speaking only with us in October, still trying to wrap their heads around what happened.
I went to the scene and I waited there until they pulled her out.
I spent all day down there waiting for them to pull him out.
The report highlights one failure after another within the Baltimore City Fire Department. It describes confusion over which firefighters were on scene that day and who was trapped inside the collapsed, burning structure. Firefighters also expressed concern about a competitive culture within the department, where they were often in a race to arrive first on the scene. But perhaps one of the most glaring problems on that January day, the firefighters had no idea they were walking into an unsafe vacant home that had been on fire twice before. The report says their systems never alerted them, and there was no visible indicator from the outside. The report recommends the department implement a standard operating procedure for responding to vacant home fires and begin marking hazardous vacant homes to warn firefighters of their danger. Last month, the city did begin doing so. It was a reboot of a 2010 program called Code X-Ray, which we've been investigating for months. The program, which marked unsafe blighted properties for first responders, didn't last long after funding ran dry and neighbors complained the signs were an eyesore. Since then, it's been recommended the city mark vacants, but they went nearly a decade and waited until the tragic deaths in January to do so.
But in this case, it wasn't a fire that they stepped into. It was a trap that was already set from the past.
Miller Stern lawyers have been conducting their own investigation and working with the families of the injured and fallen firefighters since the fire occurred. They issued a statement to FOX45 on their behalf regarding the findings of the report. In part, they say this was a vacant property that all firefighters should have been aware of, as it presented a risk to their safety. 205 South Stricker should have been demolished years ago after the first fire there, but the city of Baltimore and our elected officials chose to allocate the city's resources elsewhere. Our firefighters deserve more from us, and no family should have to go through what these families are going through today. Rich Langford, president of the fire union, says whoever will lead the fire department next has a lot of work ahead of them.
Establishing morale in this department, stability, that is what this department's been lacking for many, many years now, is the stability. We have people coming and going left and right. We need to put an end to that. We need people to come here, stay for a career.
You can read the entirety of that statement on our website right now, foxbaltimore.com. We're following a pair of shootings that happened Saturday in Baltimore along West Canton Avenue just before noon. There you can see a heavy police presence as officers say a man was shot. He only suffered minor injuries, but hours earlier, a 29-year-old man was shot in the leg along North Charles Street. He was taken to the hospital. Anyone with information on either shooting is asked to call police. Officers are also investigating a deadly hit and run. Cops say a driver hit and killed a 42-year-old woman after she lost control of her car. This happened Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock along Garrison Avenue Boulevard in Northwest Baltimore. If anyone has information about this hit and run, give Metro Crime Stoppers a call. Turning now to a crisis in the classroom. Troubling numbers of Baltimore City schools as an 8th gun is found on campuses so far this year. The most recent gun was found at Carter Vocational School. It was equipped with a 30-round magazine, which is more ammunition than police are issued. By law, city school officers are not allowed to have their firearms while inside school buildings. Their weapons must be kept in a safe, but some city council members are joining calls to change that.
We are now handicapping our school police.
The message is simple to our parents. We're doing the best we can with what we have.
It's a matter of time before one of these students brings a gun to school with ill intent.
Fox 45 News reached out to each member of the General Assembly to address these issues at the state level. So far, no response from 20 lawmakers. We do have an interactive map, though, of all the locations where those 8 guns have been found in Baltimore City Public Schools. You can see this in our web story. Go to our website, foxbaltimore.com. You can also find all of our past reporting on the violence within city schools and the Monty Violence Intervention Program. Developing now, the Memorandum of Understanding, which is an agreement between the Baltimore City Council, and the newly formed Johns Hopkins University Police Force. It just got signed, and there's no start date this time, but the recruitment and training process is expected to begin in spring and fall with a 2023 deployment planned. The agreement will last 7 years and includes a mandate that all officers will wear body cameras, and city police will take over most criminal investigations. The formation of an independent university police force has led to some disruptive protests during those public meetings, but it's moving forward after it was delayed in 2020 from the fallout of the George Floyd protests. You can see more about what is in that agreement on our website right now, foxbaltimore.com. Cryptocurrency regulation turning into a highly volatile debate on Capitol Hill. The latest from lawmakers trying to impose stricter regulations.
And today's actually going to be the coldest out of the next 5. I see signs of warmer days ahead. Low 60s coming up on Wednesday. I'll explain when our rain chances also rise in a couple of minutes. It's 8:37. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
Making headlines this morning, Congress still needs to pass legislation to put some stricter rules on cryptocurrency exchanges. That is according to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission chair, who met with FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried multiple times before the exchange collapsed amid allegations of fraud.
I strongly believe that we need to move quickly on a thoughtful regulatory approach to establish guardrails in these fast-growing markets of evolving risk, or they will remain an unsafe venture for customers and could present a growing risk to the broader financial system.
Cryptocurrency advocates prefer the CFTC, saying it's less rigorous than Securities and Exchange Commissions. Now, some analysts believe that Bankman-Fried sought a heavy hand in crafting this rule to help his now bankrupt firm monopolize the industry. The director of the FBI is raising some national security concerns about TikTok, the video sharing app owned by a Beijing-based ByteDance company. FBI Director Chris Wray warns that China could use TikTok for influence operations by manipulating the app's recommended algorithm. He also notes the Chinese government could collect data from millions of its users. TikTok is telling the Associated Press it's confident it is on a path to satisfy all reasonable U.S. national security concerns. All right, let's check in with today's Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
Everybody, I've got something to show you today that you're all very familiar with, but there's an extra twist. Now, we all love a good air fryer. It's quick. We avoid the oil, the calories, seriously, like 70% less calories. But as a designer, and I'm sure a lot of you share this with me, I think they're bulky, they're not so cute, and they take up way too much space on the counter. Okay, my rant is over. Needless to say, when the Air Whirl showed up in the mail, I was doing a little dance. Let me tell you about this solution-based product that is going to solve all your bulky air fryer issues. It's called the Air Whirl Crisper, and it can turn any pan into an air fryer. So you just place this lid on any pan that you already have, and your food will be air fried in a fraction of the time. I used it the same day it arrived. Put the lid on, press the button, done. And then you're winning because you can put it all away in the drawer. The Air Whirl is so easy to use, battery operated. You can store it without any of those tangled wires. And the thermometer is right here in the front of the lid. So you always know what temperature you are cooking at, just like you would on any traditional air fryer. Right now on ASA Deals, we are offering an exclusive 33% off the Air Whirl Crisper. You guys take advantage of this deal because they're not going to last long. Go to asadeals.com.
Developing now, thousands of children in Ohio who can't read well enough to move to the 4th grade may soon get to move on another way. David Winter with our Sinclair station in Cincinnati has more on the bill that's drawing a lot of controversy.
This mother of a 3rd grader testifying to an Ohio House committee that her little boy woke up recently from a nightmare.
He began to explain that his dream was about the Ohio State test, and in a matter of hours he would be taking part 1. He was fearful that he would run out of time, not be able to answer all the questions.
The nightmare is a reality for about 6,000 Ohio 3rd graders who every year do not meet the proficiency requirements needed to move on to 4th grade.
There's the emotional toll that it can have and the anxiety of holding them back. Also, we know students who are held back are more likely to drop out of school or at least struggle to graduate from school.
It's why Ohio State Representative Phil Robinson, a Democrat, co-sponsored HB 497 with Republican State Representative Gail Manning. The bill eliminates holding back children who do not pass third grade reading proficiency.
It is teaching children you're a failure and you're not good at reading, and it turns them off to reading.
The bill passed in the House and has now moved on to the Senate, where it will meet resistance from people like Representative Tom Brinkman, who opposed the bill in the House.
They have to learn from their failures to move on. The worst thing we do with kids nowadays is we want to make sure they don't fail at anything. And then when they do have the hard rocks of life, they screw up and they can't cope with it.
Brinkman points to statistics that show students have improved in reading since the third grade guarantee law went into effect in 2013. But other data shows improvement has been relatively flat, and Jamie O'Leary with the Crane Center for Early Childhood Research at OSU says none of the data validates the holding back or retention part of the law.
There's no evidence suggesting that the retention piece specifically leads to any meaningful improvements.
She says there are exceptions that allow some students to go on to fourth grade even if they do not pass the reading tests.
And I think we could guess which families and communities are able to do that more readily.
Can I assume, is your implication that it is white and or privileged children who fall into that category?
I would say, yeah.
To give you an idea on why this is such a controversial bill, during the pandemic, reading proficiency restrictions were lifted in Ohio. So in Cincinnati public schools, while only 48% of third graders were reading at a third grade level, all children were prompted to the fourth grade. It's scheduled for more hearings in the Senate before this actually goes to a vote. You can get your Fox 45 news in a flash through your Amazon Alexa or Echo. We now deliver your local headlines, your newscast, your forecast in less than 2 minutes. If you have an Amazon device, just tell it to enable Fox 45 Baltimore. Happening today, it's National Cookie Day, and with the holiday season in full swing, cookies should be an easy find, whether you're baking them, you're buying them. The history of the cookie, though, can be traced back to the 7th century in Persia, not long after the use of sugar became common. From there, the treat spread to Europe, and then cookies could be found all over the region by the 14th century. Cookies made their arrival to America in the 17th century. The most popular ones at those times were macaroons and gingerbread cookies. And I want to bring in meteorologist and apparently avid baker, Amy Aronson, to talk about cookies. Amy, I know you like to bake. What are your favorite cookies that you like to put together?
Okay, so there's a difference. I like to bake chocolate chip cookies, but I don't like chocolate, so I don't really like to eat them. I know, it's so weird, but I like sugar cookies. What about you? Favorite type?
Oh, I don't have a favorite. I like sugar cookies, snickerdoodles, chocolate chip. But I heard you've baked for Gordon Ramsay before?
Yeah, he tried my chocolate chip cookies, actually. He was critical, but I think I've made some changes. I'll have to bring them in sometime so you can try the famous
I would
cookies.
love to taste them before and after. Plenty of them.
And he did eat the whole cookie. He was critical, but he ate the whole cookie. So, you know.
How did I not know this about you? Like, this is really cool.
A little claim to fame, right?
Okay.
I'll bring them in sometime. Today's actually the perfect day for some baking if you have to do that. I know I still have to bake all my Christmas cookies. It's going to be chilly. It's actually going to feel more like winter today. Winter solstice coming up in 17 days now. 46 degrees is our average high at that point. By Christmas Day, our average high is 45. And then by the time we bring in the new year, average high at 44. We're actually going to land right around that today, despite the sunshine you're seeing. Although it's going to be bright and sunny today and pretty quiet, we've got temperatures only in the upper 30s to start, a light westerly wind making it feel a little colder, and then we only end up in the low to mid 40s to end. We have sunshine on the weather map. We have high pressure to thank for that. 2 high pressures actually passing on by. That's going to keep us dry for the next 2 days before our next chance for rain arrives. So today you don't have to worry about rain or wet weather. Same for tomorrow. If you want to get some stuff done outside, some holiday decorating, you're in good shape. But here comes the showers. They will roll in on Tuesday. Very scattered light stuff, but on and off throughout the day Tuesday. And then actually showers will linger through much of next week. Another festive thing happening today is the annual Mayor's Christmas Parade in Hamden. Beautiful day for that. Kicks off around 1. Going to be a little chilly. I would break out the winter accessories and layer up. Despite the sunshine, temperatures will be stuck in the mid 40s for that. If you're already tired of the colder temperatures, according to the Climate Prediction Center, you're in luck. See all this orange here? Doesn't that scream warmth? That's exactly what they're predicting in their outlook that takes us all the way through December 13th. A decent chance with that orange overhead that our temperatures will actually be warming back above average. And we can actually see that in the short term. In the next 7 days, our temperatures are warming from the 40s to the 50s. Even into the 60s. Now, the only issue is this warm up comes with a chance for rain. Some spotty showers will linger both Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures will stay mild and hang out in the upper 50s through at least Thursday. By week's end on Friday, temperatures start to come back down. We're in the mid 50s on Friday with just a couple of showers possible. And then by Saturday, we're even drier. We take rain out for the start of next weekend, but it will also turn a little colder again with highs dipping back into the low 50s. Taylor?
All right, remember you can track severe storms even when we're not here on air by downloading the free FOX45 Weather Authority app. Just go to your app store and search WBFF to get started. Trending now, Pantone has revealed its color of the year for 2023, and the winner is Viva Magenta. Pantone says the shade reconnects us to original matter and invokes forces of nature. Pantone has named a color of the year annually for more than 2 decades. The company is known for creating the Pantone matching system, which is used to identify and match colors in industries such as printing, graphic design, and fashion. And a new tipping system at Starbucks has some employees feeling like they're caught in a bind. A new tipping method that involves the option to pay the barista serving customers through a debit or a credit card. Customers are offered suggestions for amounts or other amounts or offering no tip at all. And some Starbucks employees say it just makes them feel awkward to ask about the intentions of the customer if they haven't actually offered to pay that tip themselves. One TikTok video from a Starbucks employee drew more than 6.7 million views on this topic. And critics say Starbucks should just pay their employees more without having them worry about a tip option. An airline is trying to speed up airport check-in. Alaska Airlines is the first airline to roll out electronic bag tags for luggage. The tag is linked to an app with an antenna to transfer information from your smartphone. It's touch activated, and then it shows the flight information of the company on the bag tag. The company says it could be available for purchase to all guests starting sometime next year. Are you highly motivated, somewhat bloodthirsty, and maybe a little, on the strange side? I don't know. New York City is looking for someone who wants to run around and catch the rats. The Big Apple's notorious rodent problem has a rat czar that they're looking to hire. The listing is for a director of rodent mitigation. New York, it says the perfect candidate will be able to collaborate well with the government, work well with health risk, parks, housing, and sanitation stations. And the pay here, though, is really nice. They say the rat killer will get $120,000 to $170,000 a year. Good pay. Stick with Fox 45 Morning News after the break. Meteorologist Amy Aronson has your full 7-day forecast.
8:56 on this Ravens Sunday. You can see M&T Bank Stadium in the distance there, maybe looking a little cold.
Yes.
Yeah, it's December, right? Football in December. It's going to feel like it today. If you're headed out there shortly for some tailgating, I think parking lots open shortly. Bundle up.
Bundle up. I think I'm going to go inside and just put a blanket on and watch inside.
I will say, I think our last home game was colder than this. So if you went out last time, this should be balmy. 46 degrees to start things off at kickoff. Upper 40s is where we'll end things today there. Mix of clouds and sun otherwise, so at least we're dry. And we're dry tomorrow, too, with highs back in the low 50s. This week comes with some chances for rain starting on Tuesday. Scattered showers likely, highs in the low 50s. After that, it's going to be mild Wednesday and Thursday. And although we have that chance for spotty showers each day, I don't think either day is a complete washout either. So that's some good news. And it looks like some showers will linger through Friday, but we stay milder with highs in the low 50s at that point. If you're planning ahead for next weekend, I know now is the time of year when folks have holiday parties and activities and parades. It's going to be dry on Saturday, too, but it will be a little colder with highs in the low 50s.
All right. So bundle up if you're going to the annual Mayor's Christmas Parade
That,
today.
too. Yep.
Okay. Have a great Sunday and have a great week.